and say, Deb and Brenda, take it away.
Okay, so Brenda, if you will advance to the next slide. For those of you who weren't in the opening keynote, I am Deborah Adair. I'm the executive director here. And this whole session here, this town hall session, is really intended to hear from you, get your questions, ideas, for us to hear what you need. And we're going to spend a few minutes just telling you what we have done to date specifically in response to this, to COVID-19, in case you're all not aware of some of the things that we have done. But this will be pretty short, so we'll leave opportunity to talk with you. So this is us. Yes, go ahead and go to that screen. This is the staff. We actually have at least one board member here. Russ Atkins is here as well. We don't have your picture up there, Russ. I'm sorry. This is the staff. And for those of you who don't know, we are 100% remote. So this work at home stuff is our normal. This is what we do day in and day out. But I can tell you that it is, although working from home is normal, what we're experiencing during this time is not normal either. So we're right there with you in the pace of work and trying to do the supports that we need to do. And, you know, we have, all of us have the same kinds of home situations that we're dealing with. So we understand and we are here for you. So Brenda, if you will go to the next slide. This is some of the things that we have been working on to be able to better support our members during this time. One of which you're in right now, which is the virtual conferences. We had planned a in-person conference in California and then one in New York so that it would be easier for our community to get to one of them. And of course, for obvious reasons, we had to do those virtually. And we wanted to keep them on the same dates because people had committed those times and dates to either present or attend. And so what we thought we could do to make it more accessible is to give everybody access to both, because they are not the same presentations at these two events. And the themes are even a little bit different for these two conferences. So if you signed up for one, you get access to all of the recordings for the other. And I believe Kathleen has put this in the post in the chat, but I will read it for anybody that came in a little bit late and didn't see it, that you will receive follow-up emails, an email with links to the recordings for both this conference and the West Regional. I think those go out on Tuesday of next week, so they are coming out to you. So we did that. We also put together a set of checklists. You see the picture, the graphic of one of them there. The ERI checklist, we call it our ERIC checklist. We have one for higher education, and that one is in both English and Spanish. We have one for K-12, and we have one for IEP for 504 plans in particular. And we will be very soon, and Bethany might know when, start to offer guided webinars around this, the set of checklists for how to get started and how those recommendations align with the QM standards, and then how to move beyond them. Bethany, you know when approximately we'll start doing those? May, is that right?
Yes, I believe it's May 6th, and we're right now generating all the registration links and everything, so we should have that up on the website very soon.
Okay, and these are aimed at instructors who are trying to do this work, having to move their courses online and improve those same courses for summer and fall. We have set up some virtual office hours, one for higher ed, one for K-12 folks. Bethany does the virtual office hours for higher ed, and Susie does them for K-12, and I think we have them twice a week. Is that right?
Yes, so the higher ed ones are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 p.m. Eastern to 2 p.m.
Okay.
Yes, and the K-12 ones are Monday and Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Terrific. All right, so we have those set up, and that's, you just drop in. Anybody, if you got a question, they're there for you. We have been as flexible as we can be about our professional development deadlines for the folks that are taking professional development. As you can imagine, when the decision was made for institutions to move everything online, we had folks that were just flat out busy, and so had to move their sessions, had to do different things. So we've been working with the community on that. We had finally decided to increase some of our professional development pricing because it has been a long time since we have done that. But of course, we got to pull those plans because this is not a good time for anybody to be doing that. And then what we have really spent some significant time doing is creating some curated professional development pathways aimed at the current needs. And in these pathways are some offerings that the many probably don't even know that we offer. So it was an opportunity to put them together in very targeted packages. And Brenda's going to do a little walkthrough for you so you can see what those are.
Thanks, Deb. Hi, everybody. I'm Brenda Boyd. I'm Senior Academic Director of Program Services for QM, and I'm happy to talk with you today about some of the packages we've put together to respond to this quick pivot to online or emergency remote instruction, right? So, so we know that terms are wrapping up. It's faculty are having trouble sometimes figuring out, like, how do I do that assessment online now? So what you see here are lists, are packages of web conferencing workshops. We do these in Zoom in the regular meeting room, and they're interactive. Everybody has to have their own headset and webcam, and we use breakout rooms, and there's interaction that goes on, and they're 2 hours long, so you don't have to commit to a 2-week workshop. These might be helpful for your faculty to get some quick ideas and takeaways that they can really just put to use right away. So assessing learning remotely includes these 4 web conferencing workshops: redesigning assessments for application and engagement, connecting learning objectives and assessments, active learning strategies, and helping learners track their progress. So that's 4 different 2-hour workshops. We also have making materials accessible. We also heard from the community. Bethany heard this from the community in her office hours. We heard from our QMAC about it as well, that, you know, finding content that they can put online or OER that's out there, they're not really sure how to find that stuff necessarily. So there's in this, in this section, I'm talking about materials. That's on the next slide. This is about making materials accessible, which, as we know, pivoting over to online is now is the time to make your materials accessible, because you're going to have to make them accessible anyway, and your learners need them, right? Like, they need them to be accessible now. So this series is around providing web content that's accessible, creating Word documents, PDFs, forms, captioning video, how to ensure accessible multimedia. So this little series is a chunk of our accessibility, you know, making your materials accessible. So we know that this is something that is a need. We don't know that people are ready for this yet, but we really want to push it out there so that it's in front of everyone. But these are 2-hour, again, workshops. And then we made a session, we made a package here of fast track to remote teaching and learning. And so this group, there's 7 workshops here: how the online classroom is different, setting expectations and learner support, helping students be successful, communicating new policies for online courses, measurable, precise, consistent, and clear learning objectives, connecting learning objectives and assessments, active learning strategy, and providing accessible web content. So this is a kind of a more comprehensive across the board type of things you need to consider, everything from welcoming your learners to assessing them to making sure the content's accessible. So this section is really about just getting people started right away. And then again, all 2-hour web conferencing workshops. And then, I'm sorry, this moving online instructional materials, we just renamed this one last night. It's a fast moving target. So this is, now it's online, it's instructional materials for online teaching. So this is about like, how do you're not just going to post a whole bunch of journal articles and call it a day. You want to think about how you're going to use these materials with your students and with the activities that they're doing. So instructional materials design principles for learner engagement. There should be another bullet here for the aligning instructional materials, activities, and tools with objectives. Using the flipped approach for synchronous online learning. That's when we are developing. Providing accessible web content makes an appearance here again, because we're weaving that in to really reinforce that idea that your materials do have to be accessible. And then rethinking content for the online classroom, and that's another one we're developing as well to kind of help with some of these immediate needs that are in the community. And then, so those are all the web conferencing packages. You can create your own. So these are ones we put together that we just kind of curated it for the community. But if you have other needs, we can work with you to set up the sessions that will work for you. So for the web conferencing, we are offering, if you do at least 3 of them, you'll get 10% off. You have to have at least 10 people, up to 20. And if you do, if you have 10 or more people, you will get 25% off when you choose 3 web conferencing workshops. I'm sorry, I'm making this very confusing. But if you do 3 or more, you get 25% off with 10 people. If you have 60 or more people, you'll get half price for 3 or more of these workshops. So, so these are, so this is the set that we've curated at this point. So when you have, so Laura asked a great question. And so helping faculty, if you're going to be helping faculty with this pivot to online, we'll send you coffee. I'm just kidding, we won't send you coffee. This new to online teaching might be the ticket that you're looking for, chocolate and coffee. So new to online, this is new to online teaching. The Building on Remote Instruction Successes, a Roadmap to Quality. This is the webinar about the ERI checklist that Bethany Semenich, our Director of Research and Innovation, would do for you as a part of this package, where if you do the Teaching Online workshop, Teaching Online and Introduction to Online Delivery, that's a 2-week online facilitated workshop. We've had an explosive amount of requests for this workshop. Cecilia said nobody can start their workshops till December, so but we're just kidding. We are acting quickly to meet the needs of the community. So the Teaching Online workshop is a 2-week online workshop. It's not to be confused with the Teaching Online certificate, which is a series of 7 workshops that takes about 11 weeks to complete. The Teaching Online workshop and the Designing Your Online Course workshop together, we feel those will make a good foundation for faculty, because they'll come out of Designing Your Online Course workshop with 1 module mapped in an alignment worksheet, so that they have a framework to create additional modules to build out their online courses over the summer. For fall is, but we also have some folks doing it now or soon for summer. So that's, so these are some packages that we have put together, and this is the Teaching Online certificate. There are, what you see on the screen here are the digital credentials that are earned for completion of each of the workshops, and each one will have tied to it a digital, a piece of evidence that the earner created in the workshop, and then they can share that out on social media. So this Teaching Online certificate, these workshops can be taken in any order, And they're 1 week in length or 2 weeks in length, and faculty can stop in and out of them. So if they're like, I really need to know how to create presence in my classes, I'm going to take that one now, and later on I might get into the policies and the evaluation of my course design and so forth. So these are these workshops are available every month. 4 of them do require a textbook, and if you sign up for all of them at one time, you do get a 10% discount. So we know that there's probably going to be a lot of interest in this as well. We have had over 850 people earn this since we've launched it about 2 years ago. So we've had a lot of interest. Okay, so if there are, I see a couple of questions in the chat. One from Paula about refresher workshop or conversation opportunities for facilitators. Facilitators have facilitator resource sites available to them. But before I get there, I wanted to, and before I don't want to be remiss in telling you 2 more important things. One is we will be licensing our Designing Your Online Course workshop this summer. It'll be available coming up in July. And that will be, if you're a current Applying the QM Rubric Workshop facilitator or Improving Your Online Course facilitator, you'll be eligible to become a Designing Your Online Course Workshop facilitator. Same model as the Improving Your Online Course, where you get the supplemental license and then you can have your facilitators take the certification, and then they'll be able to go on and teach the Designing Your Online Course workshop on your campuses. So it's the DYOC, the Designing Your Online Course workshop, will be licensed this summer. And for all of you current facilitators who are teaching face-to-face, I'm going to turn it over to Cecilia Green, our Senior Manager of Professional Development, who's going to talk a little bit about your option now to your virtual option.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for attending the conference. And yes, I heard from quite a few of our face-to-face facilitators when everyone had to start staying at home on how they what could they do to still be able to offer that to their faculty. And so we came up with a virtual option that they can do using, we had said Zoom, but if you use a different tool at your institution like WebEx, Adobe Connect, you can use whatever you have available. We just select the Zoom because that's what we use at Quality Matters. So we went through the presentation that you do during the face-to-face and made some small changes to it so it would work better virtually. Created one more handout because we have one activity where we have you send them out to breakout rooms so that they have that handout that they can complete that activity. You can do it as an all-day session, or you can do it as like a 2-day session, 4 hours one day, 4 hours another day. You just need to make sure the participants attend both days. We have that available already for the Applying the Quality Matters Rubric workshop. All of the materials and everything you need is in the independent face-to-face facilitator resource site in Moodle. So you can download all the materials. And what you would do then is send those materials to your participants during the session. So you would put those in the chat, and then they would have them right when they need them, instead of trying to email all of those to them and then them having to figure out, oh, where did I put them? Where did I save them? Because there are about 17 different handouts for that workshop itself. And we are also in the process of updating the IYOC so that you can offer it virtually as well. And it would be very similar to what I just said for the APP. You can do it in whatever collaborative tool you have at your institution. We're making some small changes to the presentation. I don't think we're creating any additional materials. And it's a 4-hour workshop, so you would just do it in a half a day. And you'd want to talk to your participants ahead of time because they really need to have a headset and have their webcam or some kind of microphone, or not microphone, video, so that you can actually see them during the session. I've had a few people that have asked me, well, do they have to have it on all day? It would be nice, but if they want to take a break, turn it off for a few minutes, or if one time the facilitator said, well, they don't have one, and that's fine. You can still allow them to do it. He just said he asked that person a lot of questions during the day to make sure that they were still there and engaged in the workshop. So if you have any questions, just email and let me know, but the APP is ready and the IYOC will be coming very soon, and we will post an announcement in the facilitator resource site and let you know when it's available.
Thanks, Cecilia. So so I will go ahead and move us now to the ending slide, which is how are you? How's it going? We'd like to hear from you, and what can we help you with? What concerns do you have? Are there questions do you have, or ideas you'd like to share with us?
So I'll jump in.
Thanks, Rachel.
We're doing. It has been a whirlwind, and we are. I think we've shared a couple of times how, thankfully, because of a lot of what we've been doing with QM has just positioned us to be able to handle a lot of the issues that have arisen. I am excited. I will be delivering my first virtual APP QMR. We converted a session that was originally scheduled for a face-to-face session on May 13th. And so we will instead do 2 half-day sessions on the 13th and the 14th as virtual sessions. So I will let you know how that goes. But I'm excited about it. And I can tell you, I think one of the considerations that I'm looking forward to is that, so we're doing it as part of a statewide system, and I'm doing this for another institution in my system. And the QM coordinator for that institution has volunteered to attend this, even though she took it a while ago, but she has volunteered to stay on to provide tech support and manage the chat and all of that, essentially being a room host for the entirety of the session. And so I thought that was a wonderful recommendation. And when we share this with our system colleagues, we're probably going to send that out as a recommendation that we either have the institutional QM coordinator or have someone who is a QMC and is willing to join in on the call to help kind of manage all of the participants and addressing their concerns and making sure it gets to the facilitator to help kind of ease that transition. So I'm excited about it. We'll see how it goes.
And Rachel, I look forward to see how it does go. So send me your feedback, because I spoke to one facilitator who has already done the virtual APP, and he said that it went really well, that his participants, he felt, were more engaged than when they're in the face-to-face classroom where they, or wherever you hold your face-to-face session. He thought they were more engaged in the virtual session. So, but he also said that it would be a good idea to have either a co-facilitator or, as you said, a host to kind of help with those tech support issues or monitoring the chat for questions and that type of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's really encouraging. I have not heard from anyone who's done it yet, so knowing that has been his feedback is very encouraging. I said I was going to do some tutorials and practice runs before the 13th. So,
well, let me know how it goes.
Absolutely. Thanks, Cecilia.
That is something that we have also asked for. John McGee and I are both face-to-face facilitators for QM, and we've been asked to consider doing workshops in May, and we asked if there would be a possibility for us to share the responsibility on multiple days. When he does his session, I would help him, and when I do mine, he would help me, because we felt like there might need to be that second person to help manage question and answers, manage chat, help with technical difficulties, those kind of things. And so that's the one area of the transition to the virtual world that we thought might be helpful as well.
So Natasha, you and I and John can talk about that, because I know you're talking about the dedicated session that Nancy asked you to do for QM for one of our member institutions.
Brenda, we can't hear you. Are you talking to us?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was reading it from the chat. I see Joel had posted there, I signed up for this conference partly because I'd like to learn what everyone else is doing when it comes to supporting students. I would like to get ideas. So how are you supporting your students these days? Is there a specific anything, Joel, that you'd like to ask, you can feel free to open your mic. I stopped sharing the slides so we can see each other and have a conversation.
No, I think what we're trying to do is our population. We have urban students, and we try to walk them through the whole process, everything from getting into the LMS down to guiding them in navigating the courses. But I think some of the part of the challenges that we have is providing, let's say, tutoring, especially when it comes to math and writing. I just want to see what everyone else is doing when it comes to these things, these challenges that I think we're all facing anyway together. So yeah. So any ideas will be great.
And Joel, just noticing what you put into the chat box. I'm also kind of new to QM. I've only taken one class, but what is so exciting to me is the opportunity not only to learn about the best practices from people that I really look up to and respect. It's partly exactly what you said. It's validating, it's affirming, it's partly just knowing why we're all in this together. And truly, if it wasn't for having online experience, I would feel so much more lost right now. Equally as much, what's been very helpful is just having a sense of what students are going through, but truly also just engaging in problem solving every single day. There's some type of new opportunity that comes up.
In the session I attended from this last session from the UNC Chapel Hill folks, I don't know if either of them are here, but they talked about, I'm responding to Joel's question, that many institutions have a Keep Learning site that they put up there that may have a lot of resources. And I don't know if any of you do that you would want to share anything that you found was particularly helpful.
One of the things that we have done as we scurried to get Zoom licenses, professional licenses for everyone, is that we incorporated the various student services groups as part of that. So our admissions folks are able to Zoom with incoming freshmen or transfer students, all of our writing labs, different things like that. So they're having access to communicate with students as they need to create sessions, whether it be group sessions or individual sessions. We went through our various student organizations if they needed help trying to get, we're not providing licenses to all of the students, but helping them with a free version to get them up and running for some of that student engagement. And so we've relied very heavily at this point on Zoom to help us, but we're also emphasizing like Microsoft Teams and some of the features available through the Teams component. And it's been a lifesaver for us personally at our university.
Just to add something, moving forward, Joel, even if this isn't something that your institution has right now, one of the best tips that I would give would be to develop an LMS template. There was a really good session on that this morning that you, if you didn't attend, you can go back and review. But what a lot of institutions do is they bake in some QM standards to that. So for example, General Standard 7, so you know that students have those quick links to technology help, accessibility services, other types of student academic support services. But it also will give your faculty some placeholders for some of those crucial elements, like they can, place to start here and upload their syllabus and whatnot. For the student perspective, though, it provides consistency and organization and navigation between courses. So what we don't want is online students, going into their, their next course at your institution, and they're realizing this looks very different, and I have to spend 10 minutes figuring out where everything is and how this is laid out. So what a template can do is to reduce some of that cognitive load right at the beginning, so your students can get started right away on course material, but then also give them those quick help links that they're going to need as the course progresses. So there's a lot of good research on that supporting it, that this is such a true benefit for students, but also, of course, it's a benefit for faculty, and it could also get them started off very quickly on the right foot.
And Bethany, I wanted to share too, since you brought up the session earlier, I was the host. And so the template they've created, it's available in Canvas Commons that anyone can download and use in their Canvas course. If you're not on Canvas, they said to contact them, and they can share the HTML with you.
Thank you for mentioning that, Cecilia. There's a lot of good past presentations on the QM website as well, and I think a QM success story or two on templates, but a lot of institutions do make them available for other institutions to use. So I know that there's ones for Blackboard and ones for Canvas, and there's some for Brightspace as well. You may have to kind of dig around and connect with colleagues at institutions that have the same LMS as you do. But it's a very doable thing, especially because thank goodness we are all really into sharing resources. And it's, like I said, a good way to kind of build in some of the student orientation techniques, even if you don't have a separate student orientation. You can, for example, link there to videos or for a basic LMS training, so students could even learn some things on the fly.
What I did in the past, I guess past month or so, or even more, when I started producing videos both for students and for faculty, from everything from trying to just get in, using the tools at the basic level down to just the activities, fulfilling the assessments given by the instructors and stuff like that. And we've noticed that helped a lot. But again, I'm just comparing notes. I'm the LMS administrator also of the institution, so and I want to validate. Like, I'm going to use that term again. I just want to validate. Okay, are we doing so far, just like what our colleagues are doing? So, and it seems like, we're all doing, the same thing. We're all here for the students after all.
And the only comment that I would like to make is partly because Dr. Brooks, I see, happens to be in this session. The session that she did and the resources that she shared, I actually ended up in her session totally by accident. However, was absolutely one of the most fabulous sessions that I've participated in today. The other one that I want to really make a plug for, only because I was absolutely unfamiliar with the software, was a session on photo voice. And I would also partly wish to really acknowledge the facilitators as well. Thank you.
One thing I can share with this past experience is that one of the 4 C's of QM principle as collegial nature definitely instilled to the faculty mind. What we found actually at the beginning of this, the quick transition, our supporting team were very afraid, almost afraid, like how many and how much we can help. And we are a little bit worried that the incoming call and tickets and request was much less than we expected. And we quickly found out that our faculty who are ever trained in QM, we have about 450 faculty who took the QM training, and we have a QM fellow, and those who has their course certified. They all went out and share 1 thing or 2 or more at their college level, their departmental level, and their colleagues they know. And they helped the spring transition in one-on-one, and they did a consultation. They go in hands-on, sitting with them and go over. and now they are working with the summer courses to help more faculty to develop. So the nature of a peer-to-peer collegial approach really resounded in their mind, and the faculty went out to help. And I'm so glad to report you that the QM's effect on our faculty.
That's a great example, and I think it speaks to a way of extending your instructional design support at a time that you're completely overwhelmed. You've made a great investment in your faculty. You've got them certified. They can be a part of your solution during this time. Thank you so much for sharing that.
And
I don't know if I'm, oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. No, please go ahead. My only comment to that is to really go back to your comment about the collegial relationships. I think that unfortunately in education, all of us end up being in silos. I believe that the sense of collaboration, particularly on part of faculty, has always existed, but we end up being divided, put into little boxes. Unfortunately, the current circumstances, I believe, have really brought the need for everybody in our systems to be working in a collaborative fashion. That's how we serve the needs of our students. None of us can do this, no matter how effective I am. None of us can do this by ourselves.
We really are all
Here,
in this
here.
together.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, Deb.
I was just saying here to what Rubina was saying.
Any final thoughts, Deb? We are a little bit over, and we really appreciate everybody's time today. Did you want to go ahead and wrap us up, Deb?
Yes, and keep in mind before we wrap up here, you should feel free to email any of us and all of us, and you always have the info at Quality Matters email if you're not sure where it goes, or you could submit a ticket, but we share all that information. It goes to the right person anyway. But feel free, everybody at QM is very accessible to you, and if we don't know the answer, we can connect you to somebody who has it. So let me just say thank you very much for attending. We realize that it's very difficult, especially now, for you to carve this time out to do this. And this conference is you and what you gave to it, and we greatly appreciate your willingness to share and your persistence in doing it. So thank you. And I think those of us will, the QM side, some of us anyway, may hang out here just for a few minutes in case there's any last minute questions, but appreciate your attendance and everything you do for your students and your institutions. And so we'll just hang out here. Those of you who have your little, your various animal attendees, feel free to share them. Mine's snoring on the couch right now, so I can't share them.
I was trying to get over, and I'm just thinking, wait.
I saw a tail in front of Brenda's face periodically, so I knew she had hers. Oh, look, Susie's got her dog.
I am stopping the recording, so
oh yes, please.
no other comments.
Sorry, Jim.
It's all
Sorry.
good.